Imagine you are standing knee-deep in warm, sucking mud. Not metaphorical mud. Real mud. It crawls up your calves like living hands. Your boots are already gone. Your horse is screaming. And in front of you, men in iron armor are sinking, slowly, silently, until their mouths open and fill with black water. Now answer this. How does a starving, outnumbered army trap and annihilate the most powerful war machine on Earth? In less time than it takes to boil an egg? Because in 12 minutes, 12, something happened here that Ottoman chroniclers tried to erase. And even today, historians argue whether the number was 10,000 or 100,000. But the mud remembers. And it killed them all the same. Stay with me. Because in the next hour you are going to witness a Christian prince who sleeps in armor because assassination is cheaper than mercy. A battlefield chosen not for glory, but for drowning. An elite Ottoman vanguard that vanishes so completely men swear the earth swallowed it. A moment so horrifying that veterans vomit into their helmets. And a final truth about Michael the Brave that most Romanians never learn, because it's too dark to teach children. You think you know medieval warfare? Wait. Because this is not a story about swords. This is a story about mud. And what it does to human beings when hope is taken away. Picture the Balkans in the late 1500s. Not the postcard version. Not churches and vineyards. This is a land that has been bleeding for a century. Villages burned so often the ground smells permanently of ash. Children grow up knowing 3 languages, their mother tongue, Turkish, and the sound of marching boots. Every spring, Ottoman tax collectors arrive. Every autumn, someone doesn't survive the winter. Wallachia, modern southern Romania, is a pressure valve between empires. To the north, Hungary and the Habsburgs. To the south, the Ottoman Empire. And the Ottomans don't knock. They take sons. They take grain. They take women. And if you resist, they take your name off the map. Now imagine being a minor prince ruling this land. Your title is voivode. Your actual job is hostage negotiator with a knife at your throat. You owe loyalty to the Sultan. You owe protection to your people. Those two things cannot coexist. And in 1593, the Ottomans decide Wallachia has outlived its usefulness. They want a new ruler. A quieter ruler. A man who will pay, smile, and die on command. So they summon Michael. Michael of Wallachia. Michael the Brave. Not the brave yet. Not even Michael. Just another expendable Balkan noble. Standing barefoot in Istanbul. Surrounded by men who decide whether his head stays attached. Here's the first human story. Michael doesn't come from greatness. His father may, or may not, have been a prince. His mother might have been a peasant. No one agrees. What everyone agrees on is that Michael learns early that survival has nothing to do with honor. He bribes. He lies. He kneels. He watches other princes executed for less. And he learns something important. The Ottomans do not fear bravery. They fear inconvenience. So Michael waits. And when the long Turkish war begins, when the Habsburgs and Ottomans start bleeding each other dry, Michael makes his move. He accepts the throne of Wallachia. And immediately does the one thing you never do. He stops paying tribute. Gold stops flowing south. Food shipments vanish. Tax caravans don't come back. Ottoman officials begin disappearing. One is found with his throat cut. Another is burned alive in his house. A third simply never arrives. By winter, Michael orders a massacre. Every Ottoman tax collector, merchant, and soldier in Wallachia is hunted down. Men are dragged from beds. Women scream. Children watch. The Danube runs red. This is not rebellion. This is suicide. And the Ottomans respond the only way they know how. They send an army. Not a punitive raid. Annihilation. The man leading it is Koka Sinan Pasha, Grand Vizier of the Ottoman Empire. One of the most experienced commanders alive. He has crushed rebellions from Yemen to Hungary. He has impaled princes and wiped cities off maps. And now, Wallachia. His army is massive. Janissaries, elite gun infantry. Sniper cavalry, armored nobles bred for war. Artillery. Engineers. Camp followers stretching for miles. Modern estimates vary wildly. Some say 60,000. Others say 100,000 or more. The exact number doesn't matter, because Michael has maybe 15,000 men. On a good day. Half are peasants with spears. Many have never seen a real battle. And Michael knows something else. If Sinan reaches Targovist, Wallachia's capital, the war is over. So Michael does not defend cities. He burns them. He orders scorched earth so extreme his own nobles beg him to stop. Grain stores? Burned. Bridges? Destroyed. Villages? Evacuated or erased. Women and children flee into forests. Old men stay behind to die. This isn't heroism. This is desperation. Here's the second human story. An Ottoman janissary named Hassan, recorded in a later chronicle, marches north expecting loot. Instead, he finds silence. Empty villages. Cold hearths. Dead dogs. The army eats its own pack animals. Men fall sick. Morale rots. Hassan writes that Wallachia feels cursed. Like the land itself wants them dead. And then Sinan reaches the Nijlov River. A small, twisting tributary surrounded by wetlands. It looks harmless. Michael sees a weapon. Now pause here. Because what happens next is the part most summaries skip. They say Michael chose favorable terrain. That's not what happened. Michael weaponized geography. The Nijlov floods seasonally. Michael knows this. He grew up here. He orders dams opened upstream. Channels widened. Brush cut to hide depth. The ground becomes a false field. Looks solid. Isn't. His men complain. They don't understand why they're digging trenches in a swamp. Why they're cutting paths into mud. Why they're leaving their backs exposed. Michael doesn't explain. He just says, "Stand where I tell you. Die where I tell you. Or live." On August 23, 1595, the Ottomans advance. Sinan believes Michael will retreat. Every other prince has. He sends the vanguard forward, fast, confident. Sniper cavalry thunder ahead. Janissaries follow. And then, the earth gives way. Horses stumble. Men fall. Armor drags them down. The river rises around them like a mouth. This is where part 1 ends. Because in the next part, you're going to experience what it feels like to drown in medieval armor. You're going to meet a Wallachian peasant who kills 5 men with a farming hook. You're going to watch Michael the Brave nearly lose everything in the first 10 minutes. And you're going to understand why, centuries later, Ottoman veterans refused to speak the name. Călugăreni. Out loud. Stay with me. You don't fall into mud like you fall into water. Water accepts you. Mud grabs you. Imagine the first sniper hitting it at full gallop. The horse's front legs sink past the knee. Momentum snaps the animal forward. Rider and mount slam down together. Armor crashes. Breath explodes out of lungs. The second rank plows straight into them. Horses scream, not the cinematic kind, the real kind, high, tearing, almost human. Hooves churn the ground and only make it worse. Within seconds, the neat Ottoman formation dissolves into a knot of men, animals, and panic. Now imagine being Hassan, that janissary we mentioned. You're behind the cavalry. You hear the screams first. Then you smell it. Wet earth. Horse blood. Human waste. You see riders waving their arms, trying to stand. They can't. Armor weighs 30 kilos. Mail fills with sludge. Every movement sucks them deeper. Hassan writes later that men began to disappear upright. Standing. Then slowly sinking. Until only hands remained. And then those too were gone. This is minute 1. Michael the Brave is watching from a low ridge. He does not smile. Because now comes the part that either makes him a legend, or gets him erased from history. He raises his arm. The Wallachian guns open fire. Small cannon. Crude. Short range. But here's the trick. You don't need accuracy when your enemy is trapped. Iron balls rip into packed bodies. Armor shatters bones beneath it. Men who don't drown, break. And then Michael orders the infantry forward. Peasants. Hunters. Shepherds. Men who know mud. They advance slowly, barefoot, using poles and hooks. This is where the third human story begins. His name is Ion. He's a farmer from a village that no longer exists. Ottomans burned it the year before. His wife died in winter. His son was taken south. Ion doesn't have a sword. He has a hay hook. He wades into the swamp and sees a Cyper half submerged, helmet tilted back, eyes white with terror. The man begs. Ion doesn't understand Turkish. He understands fear. Ion hooks the man under the chin and pulls. Not hard. Just enough. The helmet fills. The mouth fills. Ion lets go and moves on. He kills 5 men that way. Not because he's strong. Because they can't fight back. This is not battle. This is slaughter. And Michael knows it won't last. Because Sinan Pasha is not an idiot. At minute 3, Ottoman officers realize what's happening. Drums beat. Trumpets scream. The order goes out. Halt. Pull back. Flank. Janissaries form firing lines on solid ground. And suddenly, Wallachian men start dying. Musket smoke rolls across the swamp. Lead balls tear into flesh. A boy next to Ion drops without a sound. A cannon explodes, killing its crew. Michael's line wavers. Here comes the first false ending. For a moment, just a moment, it looks like the Ottomans have stabilized. They stop advancing into the mud. They begin pouring fire into the Wallachians. Casualties mount. Michael's left flank bends. A noble named Rodu is hit in the throat. He drowns in his own blood on dry land. Michael rides forward, shouting. He takes a bullet through the sleeve. Another through his hat. His horse rears. Men see this and think, this is it. The miracle is over. But this is exactly where Michael wants them. Because Sinan has made the second mistake. He commits more troops. Thousands. He believes numbers will solve the problem. So he orders fresh cavalry and infantry into what he thinks is a narrow kill zone. What he doesn't realize is that the mud extends far beyond what the eye can see. This wasn't a trap. It was a basin. The second wave enters. Then the third. And now panic spreads faster than orders. Men behind push forward, not knowing what's happening ahead. Men in front try to retreat, but can't. The swamp becomes a compression chamber of fear. Hassan fires his musket once. Then realizes he has nowhere to reload. The ground shifts under his feet. He drops the weapon and grabs a comrade. They both fall. Hassan feels his boots pulled off. He screams. No one hears him. Minute 6. Bodies are floating now. Not drifting. Standing. Held upright by armor, faces just above water. Some are still alive. Wallachian infantry moves among them, stabbing downward. Throats. Eyes. Gaps in armor. The sound is not screaming anymore. It's bubbling. Men inhale mud. Their lungs clog. They thrash until exhaustion takes them. And then, silence. But here's the thing no one tells you. Mud kills slowly. And that creates something worse than fear. Hope. Men think they can still escape. They struggle. They fight. They drag others down with them. At minute 8, Sinan Pasha orders a full withdrawal. Too late. When the rear ranks turn, they collide with advancing units. Officers draw swords on their own men. Janissaries fire blindly. Ottoman discipline fractures. Michael sees this and gives the second signal. The cavalry charge. Not into the mud. Along the narrow causeways Michael prepared days earlier. Paths only locals know. Wallachian horsemen slam into Ottoman flanks that believe themselves safe. Sabers flash. Men fall into the swamp screaming. Horses crash and vanish. This is the moment later chroniclers call the drowning. And this is where the numbers explode. Ottoman records downplay it. European sources exaggerate it. The truth? No one counted. Because bodies don't pile up in mud. They disappear. By minute 12, the vanguard is gone. Not routed. Gone. A hole torn out of the Ottoman army. Sinan Pasha watches from a hill. He sees banners vanish. He hears nothing. No drums. No commands. Just wind. And then a smell reaches him. Death in summer heat. He orders a full retreat to higher ground. The Ottomans pull back in shock. Michael does not pursue. And this is the second false ending. Because on paper, Michael has won. The impossible has happened. The Ottoman advance is stopped. The greatest army in the world has been humiliated. But now reality returns. Michael counts his men. Thousands are dead. More are wounded. He has no reserves. No allies nearby. And Sinan Pasha still has the bulk of his army intact. That night, rain falls. The swamp rises. Bodies shift. Some resurface. Some don't. Wallachian soldiers hear moaning from the mud. Men still alive. Trapped. Begging. Michael gives an order that haunts him. No one goes in. By morning, the sounds stop. And now comes the darkest part. Because the Battle of Călugăreni is not over. It has only paused. In the next part, you will watch Michael the Brave abandon his own capital. You will see Ottoman revenge fall on Wallachian civilians. You will hear about a janissary who survives the swamp, and wishes he hadn't. And you will reach the moment where even Michael himself believes. He has gone too far to turn back. Stay with me. Victory feels different when you're the one who has to live inside it. The morning after Călugăreni, the battlefield doesn't look like triumph. It looks like a crime scene the earth is still trying to hide. Mist hangs low over the Nijlov. The water is dark now, thick, oily. Mud has swallowed banners, shields, bodies. Here and there, a helmet breaks the surface like a gravestone. Wallachian soldiers walk the edges in silence. No cheering. No prayers. Some men vomit. Others stare too long and have to be shaken. They expected to find corpses. They did not expect to find movement. A hand rises from the mud. Fingers claw weakly. A voice gurgles something that might be a name. One man steps forward instinctively. Another grabs him and pulls him back. Orders are orders. Michael rides the perimeter. He does not look down. Because this is the cost of the plan nobody believed. And he knows, this is not the end. Sinan Pasha retreats south, but not far. He camps on higher ground. He still has artillery. He still has tens of thousands of men. And now, he has something far more dangerous than confidence. He has rage. The Ottomans do not forgive humiliation. They erase it. And Sinan has erased entire provinces for less. Michael gathers his commanders. They argue. Some want to pursue, finish it while morale is broken. Others want to fortify, dig in, force another trap. Michael listens. Then he says something that chills the room. We leave. Silence. You mean, retreat? Someone asks. Michael nods. Gasps. Anger. Disbelief. They just won the greatest victory of their lives. And he's ordering them to abandon it. But Michael understands something his men don't yet. Battles don't win wars. Logistics do. And Wallachia is empty. No food. No supplies. No reinforcements coming fast enough. If Sinan presses forward slowly, methodically, with artillery, Michael will be crushed. So he does the unthinkable. He orders the evacuation of Targovist. The capital. Homes emptied. Churches stripped. What can't be carried, burned. Smoke rises for days. Civilians flee north into forests and hills. Some don't make it. And when Sinan enters the city days later, he finds ruins. No surrender delegation. No tribute. No people. Just ashes. This infuriates him. And now comes the Ottoman response. They fan out across Wallachia. Villages are punished. Men are impaled as warnings. Women are taken. Children disappear. Here's the next human story. Hassan, the Janissary, survives the swamp. He is pulled out by comrades hours later, half mad, armor gone, lungs burning. He survives. But something in him breaks. Weeks later, he participates in a raid on a Wallachian village. He sees a boy hiding under a table. For a moment, the boy's eyes meet his. And Hassan freezes. Because the eyes look like the men in the mud. Begging. Sinking. Another soldier kills the boy. Hassan does nothing. That night, he vomits until there is nothing left. He later deserts. Ottoman records don't mention him again. Michael retreats north, toward the Carpathians. He links up with allies, Transylvanian and Habsburg forces. This is important. Because Călugăreni alone did not save Wallachia. What it did was buy time. Time for alliances. Time for reinforcements. Time for Europe to realize the Ottomans could bleed. Sinan advances again. But now he's cautious. Too cautious. Every river is suspect. Every meadow feared. Ottoman speed, its greatest strength, is gone. And this is where history starts to lie. Later chronicles describe Călugăreni as a clean victory. A heroic stand. They don't tell you about the weeks of running. The burned homes. The nights Michael spends awake, armor on, knife under his pillow. Because assassination attempts begin. Ottoman agents infiltrate camps. A cook is bribed. A horse groom is caught with poison. Michael survives 3 attempts in a month. One night, a man reaches his tent. Michael wakes just in time. Kills him with his bare hands. Strangles him in the dark. After that, Michael never sleeps without armor again. This is Act 5. The lowest point. Michael has won the battle, and lost his country. He stands in the mountains, watching smoke rise from the plains. He wonders if the price was too high. If the mud drowned more than just Ottomans. But then, something shifts. Sinan overextends. He spreads his army to occupy territory that cannot be held. And Michael sees an opening. This is the miracle twist. The forgotten trick. Michael does not fight Sinan head-on again. Instead, he coordinates with allies. While Sinan is deep in hostile territory, supply lines stretched thin. A combined force descends. Transylvanians from the west. Imperial troops from the north. Wallachians from the forests. The Ottomans are hit from multiple directions. Battles follow. Targovist is retaken, then Bucharest. Sinan retreats again. This time for good. Călugăreni becomes legend. But here's the final truth most people don't hear. Michael the Brave does not live happily ever after. He becomes a hero. Then a threat. Then a problem. In 1601, after briefly uniting Wallachia, Transylvania, and Moldavia, he is assassinated. Shot in the back. By allies. Because men who drown empires in mud are never allowed to grow old. And that's the real legacy of Călugăreni. Not the numbers. Not the glory. But the knowledge that intelligence, terrain, and cruelty, used at the right moment, can break even the greatest army on earth. You now know the story most people never hear. The story beneath the banners. The story the mud kept. One more part remains. And in it, we confront the myth. We confront the exaggerations. And we confront the uncomfortable question. Was Michael the Brave a hero? Or just the man willing to do what no one else would? Stay with me.